Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I've got some guitars to cover with you guys tonight. Starting with this. I don't think you've ever seen an SG exactly like this thing. It was for sale over 6 years ago, listed as 100% flamed maple Gibson SG for only $2,600. Let's see what we missed. Okay, look at this stunning guitar. So, generally, SGs are made out of mahogany. They look like this, but yes, there are flame maple top SGs out there. Check out an SG Supreme, or even one of the carved top Supreme Diablo style ones. Occasionally, you can find custom shop ones with plain maple tops, or maybe even check out an SG Elegant. And don't forget things like the SG Modern. But you gotta remember, this was birthed before the Modern even came out. But no, this is not just a maple top. It's actually just straight up maple, because a lot of those other ones, you'll have a cross section going on right here, where you see the guitar is about half maple top, half mahogany back. But this one appears to just genuinely be two pieces of maple joined together and carved into the SG body shape. And not only is it just maple, but it's so heavily figured. It is just fantastic, paired up with the gold hardware, gold humbuckers. Now, they decided to keep the plastics black. I mean, they could have went really crazy and did wooden pickup rings and knobs, switch tip and stuff like that, like a The Les Paul, but no, that is just absolutely fantastic. But looking to our fretboard, uh-oh, I think the seller has lied to us. It's not 100% flamed maple Gibson SG. It still has a rosewood fretboard. Now, that would have been cool if it would have been baked maple. However, looking at these photos anyways, I don't think it's baked maple. It looks like rosewood to me. And oh, I don't remember seeing the brass tenon cover on that. I don't know if I agree with it. I would probably swap that out for a black one personally. But it looks like we also have the brass truss rod cover that reads SG. The headstock is pretty normal, but hey, look over here. Oh my goodness. Just wait till you see the back. Look at that neck. Not a one-piece, not a two-piece, but a three-piece crazily flamed neck. This is such a crazy SG. I mean, if this came back up for sale today, I would have to buy it and just keep it because it is fantastic. It's got an awesome back, awesome top, awesome neck. The only thing that could have made this thing even crazier is if it had a flamed maple fretboard. So, how much was it? $2,600. In today's market, that is a super fair price. I would probably still pay that much for that guitar yet today. However, I think it could fetch considerably more. Because remember, this was listed 6 years ago, so what does that take us to? 2016, when I was first getting into guitars. An SG standard like this probably would have sold between $800 to $1,100 on the used market. So $2,600, you were definitely paying a premium for all that. But yet it's still sold. But according to the seller, the story is this was a one-of-a-kind custom Gibson SG for the NAMM show. He once again says 100% maple wood, so maybe that is baked maple. That'd be really cool because I love baked maple fretboards. But I can't quite make out that serial number. It looks like 0350, maybe 6 or an 8. So probably a 2006 or 2008 NAMM show display piece. Too bad they didn't mark those. But if that story is true, that's really cool that Gibson USA would make a fantastic NAMM piece, because generally you only see that in the custom shop nowadays, if we ever get to have NAMMs again. Man, now that we're in NAMM season again, when all the new stuff's coming out, I really miss not having those videos and the booths and being able to experience it all, or some people probably even love going to it. I still think manufacturers should set up that same booth somewhere in their factory and just make it like a faux NAMM. Even if they just have people within the company like interview and like ask basic questions like reporters would normally do. I think that would be a really nice idea to make things feel normal around the new release time. And so we can see some of these things up close instead of just stock footage. But next up here, we have a 1976 Bicentennial Firebird. This is one I saved in my watch list about 8 months ago before I really got into Firebirds. And now that I'm a bit more of a firehead here, I understand why people don't like the 70s Firebirds, because they're just weird compared to their 60s counterparts. So for example, let's look at a stock original one first before we discuss that. So this has an unbound rosewood fretboard. It has dot inlays, 2 pickups with gold hardware. It's really closest to a Firebird 3 since it's got the 2 pickups, but with the gold hardware and the Firebird 5 ABR1 stop tail setup. Because they have a headstock that looks like this. Well, except for normally this is left natural, so it's not completely black, so that's something that's also different. So I always found it strange when people are like, oh yeah, you don't want to buy 70s, 80s Firebird, you want to get an original 60s. Now I'm starting to understand some of that mindset, but at the same time, These are cool guitars. They just have quirky specs. I mean, if you think about it, the Les Paul Customs that I love from the 70s and 80s, I love them because they are different. But speaking of different, look at this thing. So, it's been routed out for a third Firebird pickup here, but they're Seymour Duncans. So we kind of got some Firebird 5-esque vibes going on here, but without the Vibrola plate. But it's been given this really cool paint job. Now, it kind of gives me like Eric Clapton The Fool vibes as far as the color scheme that they've got going on, but they're just these repeating diamond patterns. I don't know, something about this one just makes me go, yeah, that's a pretty cool Firebird. Had I been into Firebirds at the time this one was listed, I might have actually took a chance on this one. Because look at our headstock. They also painted that to kind of give you that nice illusion of the 60s ones being a different color on the raised portion rather than the lower portion. And that rainbow paint job there looks great. But it was this photo right here that made me stop and think that, maybe this wasn't highly professionally painted, because like you can see that there's going to be different strokes. Like this wasn't a professional refinish as far as like they masked things off, specifically sprayed it like a normal guitar finish. This is legitimately hand painted. Speaking of hand painted, I'm really looking forward to when Gibson eventually does the full SG. I mean, you know they have to do it eventually, because Fender just recently did Rocky, so Gibson needs to get on the ball and get an artist that wants to create 100 of those things. That'll be an interesting day. But yeah, they really went all out on this Firebird. And oh, I never saw the back before. There's like a little king guy there. I feel like he should be playing a Firebird rather than whatever that is. But perhaps it's a tribute to somebody that I'm not noticing right now. But hey, how awesome is that? This is one of the limited edition first run Firebirds that came back in '76. Kind of similar to the Explorers, the limited editions are way more collectible and valuable than the ones that say Firebird or whatnot. Looks like our tuners have been changed on this one, but I'm always scared when somebody paints the neck over like this that there might be a headstock break, crack, or repair. So if you think you want to do this and you don't want to absolutely destroy the value of your guitar, might I suggest leaving just a natural stinger on the backside of the headstock, like you don't touch anything right there, because that's going to save you a little bit. The other area that you have to look for on painted over guitars is by the neck, if it's a model that generally cracks right there. Now this is a Firebird with the neck through construction. I don't think I've ever seen one crack right there. I'm sure it's not impossible, but I wouldn't be too worried about that on this one. So this one was listed by Steve Shop for about $3,700 once you put shipping in. And you look at asking prices of other ones, it was definitely a discount, so they weren't asking a super premium for anything. So I hope whoever got that guitar is enjoying it right now. And if you're interested in having your Firebird painted like that, I guess it was art by Bob Jones. I offer private help sessions on my website, right? Tyler reached out to me with his father's original Silverburst. And I wanted to share this with you guys because it is so insane. Like, it's a nice guitar, right? We've got a beautiful aged Silverburst going on here. It seems to just need some general TLC to get back up and running. He's not looking to sell it, but he was looking to check originality. But what I saw on this extremely impressed me. So look at what's going on here. They have a mini toggle straight off of the pick guard right here that they ran through the pickup route right here. And what made me love this modification so much is this was likely done when so many people did not care about the value of a guitar. They would just route it. For example, if somebody needed a mini toggle switch on a guitar, they would usually put it like right here, sometimes right here, sometimes up there. They would just move it and drill the guitar. But this person, they probably didn't have the router bit. That's probably why they didn't do it, or they didn't want to mar up their guitar. So what they've done is inside the control cavity, they put whatever electronics they needed for this contraption. And then you already have a cavity going into your bridge pickup. So they fished those wires through there and then just drilled out a side section of the pickup ring in order to let that come out, and then they mounted it to the bottom of the pickguard. What a fantastic way to make an irreversible modification reversible. You're just going to sacrifice your pickup ring right there. And I would say that's a decent location, no worse than the other spots we were just talking about. I'm sure you could fit this pickguard a little bit more closely, but maybe he wanted it over there, or maybe it's just loosened up over time, because everything else about this is very clean after it gets a nice polish job anyways. But here's what the inside of those electronics look like. He was trying to see if the original pots were in there yet, and it doesn't look like it to me. Like this almost looks like it's now some sort of a rotary switch. And unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore, whatever it was. So we really don't even know. Maybe it was like some sort of a built-in phaser, because it had to have been something pedal-like related, because it's got a battery in here, but the pickups are supposed to be original. I don't think I ever saw photos, so I can't say for 100% sure. It's hard to see whatever is in here. He was quite surprised when he found this rat's nest, because his dad took good care of this. So all this likely happened before his time of owning it, but there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. So hey, if you recognize this modification and have an idea of what that might be just looking at these wires, I'm sure he'd be interested in knowing, because I had suggested him to take it to Chicago Music Exchange to get that all taken out, because he was looking for a reputable repair shop in his area to set it right. But man, that is a cool modification. And had it been done the other way, that guitar would have been worth like $2,000 plus less than had it been done this way. But the last thing for us to cover today is kind of an interesting tale here. So when you ship things on Reverb using their safe shipping, whatever it is, it really does cost an arm and a leg, more than normal insurance. But if you're not a business and you don't have access to UPS Capital Insurance or something similar, it definitely is the way to go to make sure you're 100% protected. But anything that gets damaged actually ends up in Reverb's garage sale. Now, we talked about this before, I think a couple of years ago, but I had somebody recently message me about this thinking it was kind of new, so I thought I'd bring it back up again because I get new followers all the time. So what piqued my interest in this shop today was a Gibson Goldtone GA30 RV. I bought one of these like 8 years ago. I still have it. I know Joe Perry was kind of famous for using it for a little bit. It just never really got me the Marshall tones I wanted, but the coolest thing about this amp is you can blend your dirty and clean channel together to get a very interesting tone. So when I saw this thing for $900, like sometimes people list these things for $2,500, but then I saw the $250 shipping. It's like, okay, it's still an all right deal. It's hard enough to find people willing to ship these things. That's the main reason I haven't sold mine, is because I don't want to ship that thing. These are heavy. They're like 80 plus pounds. But anyways, I thought this was an amusing story. This amp was received after being lost in transit. How do you lose an amp? That's a huge package. So what likely happened is it was like buried in a warehouse and they paid out an insurance claim for it, but then it ended up showing up later and then Reverb said, hey, that's now ours. So then they basically just sell it as is. I was fully expecting something else to be wrong with it, and then that's how they make some of their money back, so it doesn't cost them too much offering all that insurance. I'm sure Reverb makes a lot of money on that insurance, but they also probably pay out a lot of claims too. But other things that are in here, it looks like we've got a ES125DC that received some damage due to mishandling. I'm not sure if they're saying the neck was destroyed and that had to be fixed, because I think they just have CME do a lot of their repairs. Or at least that's what I thought back when CME owned Reverb. But this looks more like a case of what showed up wasn't exactly what the seller was saying. So there's a little bit of dispute, and then the seller was like, no, I'm not taking this back. But this is definitely a shop to follow, because sometimes they do post interesting things for a good deal, especially if you're looking for a project. Sometimes if it's too bad, they'll just list it as is. But man, another interesting one that says being lost in transit. But that is not the worst deal I've ever seen. But whoa, why are they charging $250 for a guitar? Are they overnighting it? Is that how yeah, that must be new. I don't remember seeing that before. That just seems a bit excessive. But anyways, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.